Andrew Pierson, number 54. I'm the center for the Lions. And,
New center Andrew Pierson starts. The undrafted free agent out of Kingston, Ontario, gets a start at center.
What do sports mean to you?
Sports mean to me that it's an opportunity to represent my family, friends, city, and everyone that's supported me. Sports are an opportunity to develop my skills, such as interpersonal skills, teamwork, confidence, time management, goal setting, and etc.
When did you know that football was the sport you wanted to pursue?
I knew I wanted to pursue football more than other sports around grade 9 or 10, just because I was starting to get bigger and I could start to see that football was a sport that I was relatively good at the time and I needed to develop it further. But I decided to stop spending the resources on other sports and focus just on football.
What advice would you give to younger athletes?
The advice I give younger athletes is get out there and make mistakes, but ultimately make sure that you're learning from the mistakes so that the next time that opportunity comes, you don't make the same mistake twice. The other thing I would tell young athletes is the biggest hurdle you will have to overcome is between your ears. Confidence is a product of hours and hours of time on practice and studying, both in the classroom or in the field. I always say to myself, success is when opportunity meets preparation.
Who do you look up to, or who is your idol?
Both my parents are my idols. My dad had a stroke about 10 years ago, after which the doctor said he wouldn't be able to walk again, but he still woke up with a smile on his face, did his physiotherapy, and in a few years he was able to start walking again. So that showed me perseverance and being personally accountable for my actions. He said he wanted to walk again and he took the steps necessary to get to where he wanted to go. The other person was my mother, and she showed throughout this whole process, she showed me how strong you can be in the face of adversity and how to be a leader to show constant support and love.
Did you have to give up anything to play professional football?
So after high school, I had to give up a lot. I had to travel to Erie, Pennsylvania, where I went to school, and leave all my family and friends behind. That was extremely challenging for me because they played such an important part of my life. But ultimately, I knew it was a sacrifice that I had to make.
How do you motivate yourself to become a better athlete?
So I motivate myself because I don't view myself as just an individual. I'm a product of thousands of hours of coaches, friends, family motivating me and supporting me. Therefore, when I step on the field or doing public speaking, I'm representing not only myself, but everyone that supported me. Therefore, I have to work harder than everyone else to make sure that I make everyone proud.
Are there any struggles that you had to overcome?
So when I was diagnosed with a learning disability at a young age, would have been grade 2 or grade 3, I really did not want to be different. I looked at it as such a negative, saying, why me? Why do I have to work harder than everyone else just to get the same or worse grades? I really wanted to blame everyone else and didn't really want to face the fact that this is something that I had to live with for the rest of life. It's only till recently that I started to celebrate the fact that I am different. I leverage the fact that I think differently. I look at things differently and embrace it. And I would challenge everyone that has some form of disability or is different that don't think of it as a negative, but I challenge you to view it as a positive and say, even though you put up this roadblock, watch how far I can go.
Did you ever have issues balancing school and sports as a student athlete?
So I did struggle with this when I didn't have my priorities straight. Once I straightened out my priorities and realized first was family, then came school, then came sports, everything else didn't really matter because I had to spend the time I needed to spend on my academics to get me where I needed to be in the classroom, and then I needed to spend the amount of time I needed in the weight room and the field to get me where I wanted to be in football. And the advice I'd give to anyone is look yourself in the mirror and say, what do you really want to get done? What do you really want to be? And once you realize where you want to be, take a hard look at yourself in the mirror and say, okay, this is what I need to do to get me where I want to be.
After your football career, do you plan on going back to school?
So once football is done, I do believe that I will go after either an MBA or a CFA in finance. I just want to be the best in my craft once football's done, and I don't want any limitations holding me back. And I believe this is a perfect time to make the transition once football's done into the professional world, taking what I've learned in sports and applying them into the professional world.
Can you list some of the things that you have done in the community?
So some of the things that I've been grateful to do in the community include after-school programs where we get kids active, hospital visits, this program called Read, Write, and Roar, where we get to go into classrooms, read a little bit to students and explain the importance of reading, especially as someone that has a learning disability. Be More Than a Bystander, which is about violence against women, techniques to identify and prevent it. Tell Us Why's the internet safety program, where we explain your digital footprint and how everything you do on the internet is with you forever. Fortis BC Energy Leaders on how to conserve energy, and much more.
What have you done that you're most proud of?
So what I've done in my football career and life that I'm most proud of thus far is winning the Jamie Terrace Community Award and being our team's nomination. That's because when I started out with my football career, I didn't know how far it was going to go, but I told myself no matter how long it lasts, I wanted to use my voice and try to positively impact as many people as possible. And to be nominated for this award just means that people are recognizing what I'm doing in the community, and that just means the world to me.
Why do you believe it is important to give back to your local area?
My motto is I try to give as much as I've taken over the years. I've taken so much from great coaches, mentors, and different programs in Kingston. So my obligation, I feel, is to give back as much as I've taken. But I challenge everyone to do the same. It's not a superhero approach. You don't need to be a professional athlete to give back to your community. It can be as small as just going back and volunteer coaching. You do not know the effect you have on someone else's life.
Win! Start chasing that chip. Stop. Win, 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 win. Yeah. You clowns really don't stay outside when I play outside.